Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Diego, and I'm going to do a live session here, a live chat on how to put together a K1 visa package. Okay, if I turn my printer off. Now, during the live chat yesterday, folks were asking me, how do I put together a K1 visa package? Well, it's very easy, and you don't need an attorney to do this. You don't need an attorney, you don't need an immigration attorney. The only time you're going to need an immigration attorney, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is if, for example, you have some criminal background that you're not quite sure is going to qualify you for the visa benefit. Then you want to bring in an attorney to take a look and see if you qualify for the K1 visa benefit. But if you have a clean record, other than traffic tickets, you don't have anything, major, you're good to go. So now let's see. You want to put together a K1 visa package. You are American citizen. The first rule is you got to be an American citizen. Number one. Okay. Only American citizens can apply for a K1 visa. Okay. Now, the next thing that you're going to do is you, Mr. Sponsor, Miss Sponsor, you're going to go to the USCISforms.gov. It's a website, USCISforms.gov, and you're going to go to that website and you're going to look for Form I-129F. Okay, so go to USCISforms.gov and look for Form I-129F. Once you find that form, you print the form. It's 13 pages long, and you print the instructions. So your first homework assignment, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, is to print the instructions for that form, study that form, study it, so you fully understand it, and then fill out the form USCIS I-129F. Now, this is a practice, okay? This is just for practice. You fill out the form one time, two times, three times, until you get it absolutely perfect, okay? Now, once the form is absolutely perfect, then you print it, and you make sure you're using the most recent current edition, okay? If you use an expired form, USCIS will reject your application. Okay, so you've printed Form I-129F, all 13 pages, and you've studied the instructions, and you've filled out the form. Okay, now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to have to know what documents are required to include in this K1 visa package. Okay, number one, you're going to need proof of citizenship, Mr. Sponsor. Okay, now every situation is different. Everybody has a different situation, but generally you're going to need the following documents. Number one, proof of U.S. citizenship. Okay, so how do you prove U.S. citizenship? Well, Mr. Sponsor, Miss Sponsor, a copy of your passport. Okay, a copy of your passport. Now, you need to make a photocopy of your U.S. passport biographic page. You don't make a photocopy of the entire passport, just the biographic page, which is the face and the signature, and then make sure it is in color. Okay, make a color copy. Get a copy of your beneficiary's passport and any of her children. If your beneficiary doesn't have any children, then don't worry about it. And if your beneficiary doesn't have a passport, he or she needs to get a passport plus the children. Okay. Once they have their passports, make copies of the passports, the biographic page in color. Okay. And Janela James has jumped in here on the live chat. Tell them to read it properly in print, the right edition, because there are certain things that are not allowed. You're absolutely right. Read the I-Form Y-129F carefully. Now, the next thing you're going to need is evidence of previous marriages have been terminated. Okay? If you are married, you cannot file a K1 visa. You have to be divorced or single. And So, you're going to go to your courthouse and you're going to get copies of your final divorce decree, certified copies of your divorce decree, final divorce decrees. Okay. And that also includes your beneficiary. Now, and if you're from the Philippines, okay, you may have to it's pretty hard to get a divorce in the Philippines, so you're going to get an annulment letter from the Philippine government. More than likely, it's an annulment, but you need a copy of it. You're going to include these things in your K-1 visa package. The next thing you're going to need is proof of meeting within 2 years, okay? You have to meet each other face-to-face within 2 years before you file your K-1 visa package. If you met each other 2 years and 1 day ago and your sponsor files his K-1 visa package, the visa will be denied. Not because you're not qualified for the visa, but you didn't meet the requirements as pertained by USCIS. Okay? So meet your fiance face-to-face and then file your K-1 visa right away when you get back to the United States. Okay, have it ready to go. If you have had a legal name change in the past, you got to get information and documentation that shows that this was done properly. Okay, get evidence of any legal name changes. Now, letter of intent to get married. You need to include a letter of intent to get married in your K-1 visa package. This includes the sponsor and the beneficiary. The beneficiary will write her letter of intent to get married in her native language. Okay. Now, I'm in a K-1 visa process with Karina, my fiance. Karina is from Venezuela, living in Colombia. She wrote her letter of intent to get married in Spanish. I translated it into English. She notarized it. And then, I was in Colombia with her when she did that. And then I brought that letter back to the United States with me, and I included it in the K-1 visa package. Now, when you put together, and then the sponsor, you, Mr. Sponsor, Miss Sponsor, you write a letter of intent to get married also. Vital information required in the letter of intent to get married includes that you will make a statement that you promise to get married in 90 days when you arrive in the United States, or when your beneficiary does, that you're legally free and able to marry each other, and include in there the citizenship of your country. So Karina would put in there, I'm a citizen of Venezuela living in Colombia, and I promise that I will marry, Diego within 90 days of arriving in the United States, and I am legally free and able to get married. Put all that in there, and then you sign it and date it, and then translate it into English if you have to. Now, if your beneficiary has been on vacation in the United States before, she came to visit you on vacation, then you will have to print a copy of Form I-94, which is the arrival departure record, okay? You got to include that, the arrival departure record into the United States, Form I-94. You go to the Homeland Security website, Google our Homeland Security, Border Patrol, Customs and Border Patrol, I-94, and then you punch in the information and print the I-94. You must include that in your K-1 visa package. If you met each other through an IMBRA, okay, an international marriage broker, okay, you got to include evidence in your K-1 visa package of the supporting the International Marriage Broker Regulation Act, the IMBRA Act. It's a waiver, the IMBRA waiver. It's probably not going to pertain to you guys, but I'm just letting you know that's a requirement. And in your K-1 visa package, you need to include one passport style photo of, I included a passport style photo of me and a passport style photo of Karina. And then she wrote her name on the back of her passport photo in pencil. And then I wrote my name on the back, my full name on the back of my passport style photo, put it in a Ziploc bag, and then you attach the Ziploc bag behind the USCIS form I-129F with a paper clip. Don't staple it. And this is the only time you're going to use a paper clip in this whole process. One paper clip for the Ziploc bag for your passport photos behind your I-129F. And Lealtad and Respeto. Hello, greetings, Diego. Always aware of the great work you do. Well, thanks for stopping by during this live process, this live chat on how to put together a K1 visa package. Okay, now, so actually, I included 2 passport style photos of me and 2 passport style photos of Karina, my fiance, not 1. I included 2 just to make sure, in case they lose one or whatever. Okay. Include in your K1 visa package a birth certificate of your beneficiary, a copy. Now, so I got a photocopy of Karina's Venezuelan birth certificate, and then I translated it into English by a certified translator. So I put the birth certificate in Spanish, then the translated birth certificate in English behind it, and then behind that, the statement saying this is a certified translation. So I put a copy of her. Now, don't send original documents to USCIS. Do not send original documents. Copies only. You're going to bring the original documents to the embassy interview. Okay. Let's see. Now, police clearance certificates. If you're a fiance, if your beneficiary lived in other countries, for example, Karina's from Venezuela, so she lived in Venezuela until 2018. Then she got out of Venezuela and became a legal resident of Colombia. So I included in the K1 visa package a police certificate from Venezuela and a police certificate from Colombia. Now, then I got those translated into English by a certified translator. You don't have to include the police certificate in the K1 visa package. You don't have to include it, but I included it to make the visa package stronger. So the immigration officer is going to say, okay, Karina's good, never had any problems with the police, good to go. Okay. It gives a warm fuzzy to the immigration officer who's trying to make a decision on your visa package. You don't have to include it, but I did, and I recommend that you do. Okay. So if your beneficiary has lived in a foreign country, other than the one she or he's in already, longer than 6 months, worked there, lived there, police certificates are required from every country that he or she has lived in for 6 months or greater, plus any children over the age of 16. Now, and the 2 other things that you're going to include in this visa package, okay, will be at the embassy interview, which will be a sealed medical exam, and also the Declaration of Financial Support, Form I-134, and your most recent tax returns. But that comes later, and that will be included at the embassy interview for the face-to-face. So now, what documents are required for USCIS Form I-129F, okay? What are the documents? The checklist. Let's go over a basic checklist. You got to prove U.S. citizenship. You got to have a copy of the birth certificate or a naturalization certificate, or a copy of a consular report of birth abroad. You could have been born overseas, so you get a consular report of birth abroad. You're still a U.S. citizen. Copy of your unexpired passport, you sponsor, your beneficiary, any of your children, and proof that any previous marriages have ended. So you got to have final divorce decrees, death certificates, etc. for your beneficiary. If something happened, she was married before her husband died, get a copy of the death certificate. If it's in Spanish or another language, get it translated into English. If you're in the Philippines, you're probably going to be looking at an annulment letter. Okay. All right. And when you get your passport photos done, you got to make sure they are taken within 30 days before you submit the K1 visa package. So what I did, I was with Karina. We went and got our passport photos taken in Bogota. And then a week later, I flew back to the USA and put the K1 visa package together. Okay. Now, if your beneficiary has had a legal name change, you got to show documentation of that, certified court orders, etc. And, it's very simple. But a K1 visa package isn't difficult. All right. It's not difficult. Now, you got to put together a strong K1 visa package. And in the visa package, you're going to put in there, you're going to make copies of your boarding passes. Remember, you have to meet your beneficiary 2 years before you submit the visa package. So Get your boarding passes. When you don't let the flight attendant take your boarding pass and say, oh, thank you very much. No, say, ma'am, I need that. Make sure they give it back to you. Keep your boarding passes, entering the country and leaving the country. And if you've made, what I did with Karina, I went to see her for a month. It was 5 weeks. Then I came back and I had boarding passes for that trip. Then I went back to see her again for 5 months and I had boarding passes entering and leaving Colombia for that trip. And I collect all of the evidence of being with her. My name is on the rental agreement. I pay the rent on our apartment in Colombia, so my name's on there. I stayed in a hotel for my first trip. I kept all the hotel receipts. I ate donuts at the airport in Houston when I was waiting for my plane to Bogota. I kept the receipts right. Well, I'm at Houston International Airport. I'm right here at Bush International Airport. Here's proof I was at the airport. And the only way I can get in the airport is if I bought a plane ticket. Anything that you have that you did with your fiance in her country or his country, keep it. Buy her a gift. Keep the receipt. Okay. I was in Colombia for Christmas, so we went out and bought Christmas gifts for all the nieces and nephews and brothers and family members. We had a big smashing big Christmas of celebration, and I put everything on my credit card. I wanted to do it because there's evidence too. It's good evidence, and I printed those credit card receipts that I was at this store and I bought this stuff in Bogota, Colombia. Angel Marcia, thank God, Diego, we finally got my fiance's appointment in Honduras for July. Woohoo! Angel Marcia has her K1 visa appointment at the U.S. Embassy in Honduras. Fantastic. So, you're keeping all your evidence, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that you are with your beneficiary. Most importantly, are photos together. Okay? Photos with family, photos with friends. Okay? Selfies. You can put a few selfies in the package, but they're not as important as photos together. Hey, Azar, me, Doc. Nice to see you. Thanks for checking in. So you need photos with your beneficiary, with her friends, and with her family. All right? All together. And then you don't submit the original photos, obviously. You can put them on your phone and then to send them from your phone to your computer and print them on paper. You can print photos on paper. They don't have to be original photos, but bring the original photos to the visa interview. Okay? So you got to have proof of a legitimate relationship. Okay? You can get, the big thing about a K1 visa package is putting together the form correctly, filling out the form correctly. Don't make mistakes on putting in her passport or his passport number. Spell her name properly. And then when you go to print the USCIS form I-129F, okay, be advised that you can't put everything down. You can't do everything on the computer. There are some spots on that form you can use a black ink pen to fill out with. So don't have a panic. Don't have a heart attack. Oh, I can't get my computer. I can't fill it out. Don't worry about it. It's no problem. You use a black ink pen, okay? And so what are the main things that you include in the K1 visa package? Proof of the relationship, proof that you met each other face-to-face within 2 years, backed up with evidence of boarding passes. Make photocopies of the passport visa stamps. Like when I enter Colombia, the immigration officer in Colombia will stamp my passport and say, okay, Diego, you can stay in Colombia, and he'll write number 90. I can stay for 90 days. And then if I want to go another 90 days, I leave Colombia and come back, and then they'll stamp it again, and I can spend 6 months in Colombia at a maximum without a visa, okay, without a retirement visa. My retirement visa expired. I didn't renew it. I'm American. I live in the USA. So anyway, evidence, okay? So proof of the relationship, okay? Get some of your friends to write some affidavits, letters of affidavit. Your friend on Facebook for years and years knows about your relationship, and have him or her write a letter of affidavit saying, yeah, I know. Yeah, Diego's been in a relationship with Karina for over 2 years, almost 3 years. And, have them sign it and date it. they got to include their date of birth in the affidavit of support. The letter of affidavit. They have to include their date of birth in there, where they were born, and their contact information, where they live, and the phone number. Okay, very important. Now, when I was in Colombia with Karina, we took a trip to Cucuta, which is on northern Colombia, on the frontier with Venezuela. So I got to be 1 inch away from Venezuela. I didn't step into Venezuela. I really didn't want to go to jail. Number one, I got to have a visa, and number two, the Venezuelan government don't like Americans too much, so I didn't go to Venezuela. But I'm on the frontier with Karina, and we're saying hi, everybody. And so I had a vacation in Cucuta, very warm, beautiful place. We spent, stayed in a hotel there with her, kept the receipts for the hotel, kept the plane tickets. We flew Avianca from Bogota to Cucuta, kept the boarding passes, kept the plane tickets, kept the hotel receipts. When we went to eat, I used my credit card in the restaurants. So I got evidence that I was in Cucuta, printed the credit card statements, okay? And then from Cucuta, we came back to Bogota, and we took a bus. We took a very luxurious, comfortable bus. It was a 15-hour bus ride from Cucuta to Bogota. And I went up into the Andes Mountains, up and down and up and down. And it was an adventure. Now, my body didn't care for it too much, and my head was killing me. But it was an adventure, taking a 15-hour bus ride with Karina from Cucuta to Bogota. I kept the bus tickets. I took lots of pictures, made videos, and I made copies of the bus tickets and included them in my K1 visa package. K Messenger, keep up the great work. You truly are doing a great service. K Messenger, I know there are lots of people out there in YouTube land that want to get their K1 visa approved, and they want it as fast as possible. And I'm doing my part because I've been through this twice, and it is a great pleasure to help everybody. And this video is about how to put together a K1 visa package. Okay. Now, when you put all this evidence together, talking about trips together, Karina and we also took a vacation to Cartagena. Okay. We flew from Bogota to Cartagena, which is on the Caribbean Sea, and we went on boat rides to Bendita Beach. We went to Playa Blanca, which is close to Santa Marta. It was like 90 degrees. We spent a week in Cartagena in the hotel on the beach overlooking the ocean. We had our hotel, I think we were on the 15th floor overlooking the Caribbean Sea. It was fantastic. We stayed there for a week. I kept all the hotel receipts, the plane tickets, the boarding passes from our vacation in Cartagena. I included that in the K1 visa package. Okay, we got a question. 7 Angeles. Hi, brother. Just a quick question. I got the NOA 1, August 2022. How long do you think for my NOA 2? Okay, August 2022. I would say September of 2023, October at the latest. You will get your NOA 2. Be patient, everybody. Patience. It's all a waiting game. Now, if you do not submit the required information to USCIS, number 1, prove you're a U.S. citizen. Number 2, prove you're both free and legally able to marry, divorce decrees, annulments, etc. If you don't include your letters of intent to get married, if you don't include your photographs with your family and friends and everybody, dated, when you get a picture with your beneficiary and her family and friends, okay, you got to put on there the names of the people in the photograph, the date the picture was taken, and where the picture was taken. So I was walking down the street with Karina in Bogota, and all her friends piled out of this restaurant, and I got a picture with all of them. There's like a picture of 5 of us together. It's me, the single solo guy with all these Venezuelan ladies, and Karina was right here in my arm, and I got a picture of them, and I included that in the K1 visa package. Question, Jacqueline Swan. The only problem is I didn't know that it was so hard to get a visa slot for an interview. Yeah, everywhere around the world, it's a little tight getting a visa slot for an interview, including myself. It'll be a difficult process for me also. for the embassy in Bogota. But the secret to this is every day go online and keep trying and trying and trying to get a slot. You will get in there. Okay. So when you put your K1 visa package together, include itineraries of trips taken together. Okay. Include all of the primary and civil documents, U.S. citizenship, divorce decrees. Now, Karina has 4 years of college at the university, okay, in Caracas, Venezuela. She's highly intelligent, college educated. And when I found that out, I said, okay, I need copies of your college transcripts. Why is that important? Well, it really doesn't, it's really not going to help the K1 visa package, but it shows the immigration officer that Karina is highly educated and she's going to come to the United States with 4 years of college. And, it kind of gives a warm, fuzzy feeling in the immigration officer's mind that she's going to be a productive member of society in the United States. Now, does that mean you got to have a college degree to get a K1 visa? No, you don't have to, but it sure helps with the immigration officer trying to adjudicate the case. Karina's 4 years of college, great. So she's smart. She knows about tax accounting. Maybe she'll become a tax accountant when she gets to the United States. That's up to Karina. She's more of a business entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. I think she's going to want to start a business, but she knows taxes. And so I got her college transcripts, got them translated into English by a certified translator. I used a Spanish group. So I put her transcripts together and included that in the K1 visa package. And Karina has a plan to open up a ice cream store and a little souvenir shop, I think, but an ice cream store primarily here. So she wrote a little letter of explanation. This is what I want to do when I get to Florida. I'm going to get a business license in Florida. I'm going to get my company name trademarked, blah, blah, blah. Put a little letter together and signed it and dated it. So immigration has an idea of what she wants to do. What are her plans when she gets to the United States? Doesn't have to be in Florida, could be somewhere else. But, we live in Florida right now. So get all the documents together and then put them in document protectors. Okay. Now, the reason I say put them in document protectors is because your K1 visa is going to sit on a shelf for 6, 8. It depends when you file your K1 visa, but let's say a year. And then so if your K1 visa package is going to sit on a shelf for a year, you want to protect the documents from let's suppose the sprinklers go off at USCIS Service Center, and they flood the office space with water. You want to protect your documents. I'm not saying that's ever going to happen. It's never going to happen. But protect your documents. Put your documents together in document protectors. Put them in a little binder, and then, including your photographs and everything, and mail it to the Dallas lockbox. But the most important thing is you got to show evidence of a relationship. You got to prove that you're both legally free and able to marry. And if you've been divorced in the past, you got to show proof that the divorce is terminated, that you're finalized. You finalized your divorce. You met each other within 2 years before filing the K1 visa package. When you fill out the form I-129F, you don't make any mistakes. You don't transpose numbers or dates of birth. Make sure her name is filled out properly or his name is filled out properly. Make sure you sign the form I-129F and date the form. Make sure you're using the correct edition of the form, and then you put it all together in a binder, and then you sit on it for a day. And after you've sat on it for a day, then you look at it again and you make sure you made no errors, made no mistakes. And then if you are fully confident that you have made no errors, that you haven't forgotten anything, that you didn't exclude anything, and that you qualify for the benefit, mail it off to the Dallas lockbox in Texas. Now, lots of folks are asking me, well, why did my K1 visa package go to California? Well, 93% of all K1 visas are going to California. Not too many are going to Texas, okay, or Vermont or wherever. So don't panic if you're like, I live in Florida. So I thought to myself, when I got my NOA-1 letter, I was thinking, I went to Texas. I opened up my NOA-1 letter and it went to California. And I'm like, what the heck? California? Seriously? That's where they're going. Okay, so don't panic. It's all right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the basics about putting together a K1 visa package. Proof of relationship, proof of income, proof that you're legally free and able to marry each other, letters of intent to get married, photos together with friends and family, not just selfies, uh, itineraries of trips taken together, hotel receipts, passport photos. Um, let's see, and then put it all together in a document protector, and you send it out. And then you have to wait. You will get your NOA1 letter probably in about a week to 10 days. And then you can easily also check when you fill out your K1 visa package, don't forget to include form G1145. Go to uscisforms.gov, print G1145, and then that way fill out that form at the bottom with your name, with your text, your phone number, and your email address. And that way, when USCIS receive your package at the lockbox in Dallas, they will send you a text message with your receipt number. Boom! I got my text. Ding. Okay, they received my K1 visa package. No problem. Then a few days later, I got my NOA1 letter, and that means because I got my NOA1 letter, I didn't mess up the paperwork at that point. Now we're in month 13. We're waiting for USCIS at California Service Center to look at our K1 visa package. And I put it in a book. Well, actually, our K1 visa package is bigger than most people's. There's more information because this is my second one. So I had to include a bunch of information from my first K1 visa package. Don't hide anything from immigration, okay? So I put in there, they ask you on the USCIS Form 129F, have you filed a K1 visa before? Yeah. You have to say, well, who was it for? For this person. And then at the back on page 13, there's a place where I can put a little explanation. It didn't work out. We got divorced. She returned back to her home country. She's not my dependent. Okay? Boom. And then I included copies of the NOA1 letter and the receipt numbers so immigration can take that, punch in their computer those receipt numbers from my first K1 visa and see that they've been what's the word? Blocked, disestablished, shut down, and terminated. It's done. And now then the next thing they're going to do is they're going to check what was the date of my K1 visa. My first one, it was in 2016. It was let me see here. Yeah, beginning of 2016. And then they'll say, okay, you got to be 2 years has to pass before you can file a second K1 visa. Well, 2016 to 2021 is more than 2 years. So I made the job of immigration much easier for them to investigate me and check out my past K1 visa package. So that's about it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Include chat logs with your K1 visa package. If you have the application WhatsApp or Yahoo Messenger, print 1 or 2 chats per week before sending in your K1 visa package. I would say have about 5 or 6 months worth of chats in the K1 visa package. So if it's 1 a week, that's 4 a month. That's about 20 or 25 printouts of chat logs. Okay. Everything that you can add to your K1 visa package that will help immigration feel warm and fuzzy about it, that you guys are in a real relationship, that you followed all the rules, that you've completed all, dotted the I's, crossed the T's, made no errors, you'll get your visa approved. Then you just got to wait. Okay. It's just a waiting game, 14 months, 15 months, 16 months. But by October of this year, the fiscal year 2024 will commence for USCIS, and people that file K1 visas in October, November of this year, December, they'll see that the process is a lot quicker, much faster. Okay, so that's it on the K1 visa. How to put it together, the basics. Does anybody have any questions? Most everybody's at work. Everybody's usually probably at work or they're sleeping because around the other side of the world, it's probably in South Africa. It's probably getting close to their bedtime. And, so everybody's asleep, but I wanted to put this video together to help you through this process. Okay. Thanks for watching, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Excuse me. Whew, allergies are killing me. And we will see you in another video here shortly. And don't forget, every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time, I do the live chat with Diego. Questions and answers on the K1 visa. And see you all later.